Hello, I am Brandon, the humble host of Actual Play Broadcast. This will serve as an introduction to our broadcast for the time being. As we record and publish more, it shall change. We are still getting things set up, so apologies for any errors, skips, or silence that may occur. Everything will be smoothed out in due time. Please enjoy our broadcasts of various RPGs, and remember to tune in for more every week, as continuations or new adventures will be posted at such times. Thank you, and enjoy the show.
Button pushed. Oh no, it's time for another
Push the button.
Yes, Dami playing Sveta and Syndra playing Liana are not joining us. They're gonna have a little catch up session when they're next available.
That pesky
In the
little
meantime,
thing
though,
real life.
yes. But let's be honest, they're both attending activities that they chose to do. They're not in danger or suffering health crises or anything like that. They are both engaging in alternative activities.
You know what they're doing. They're being nerds. That's exactly what they're doing.
They are actually being nerds. One's at a con, and I think one's at a LARP or a tournament. I think it's a LARP. So
being nerds.
Yeah, they are by definition doing nerd shit. So that said, I don't have any massive announcements for things not applying to Aldfair. I do have Aldfair announcements. We fucked around with the Kingmaker stuff last session. Thanks for everybody who sat through that. Lovely. Reviewing the system, thinking about how I felt running it and stuff. I don't think using it rules as written is necessarily going to really fit for what we're trying to do for this game. It's a little. We're definitely spent a lot of brain power trying to bend it to fit the circumstances of the campaign. I'm not saying the Kingmaker subsystem is bad. Not saying that. I am saying it is designed to be ran in a very specific way, which does not fit the game we are having.
No.
So it's not, the elements of it are not going to disappear. People being in the roles they have and stuff will still be important. Building certain things will still be important. Like, all the management aspects are still going to be there, but it's not going to be as we're going to have a Kingmaker turn, blah 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 blah.
Sure.
We'll still probably break things down into a month by month rotation of okay, what are your major plans? And ultimately my plan is just going to be to handle it in ways that make sense. There's only so much manpower you have. There's only so many workers you have. There's only so many people that can be recruited. I'm going to keep things within a reasonable expectations instead of hard going down a list of well, it says you can only build one structure per Kingmaker turn. Because I was sitting here thinking yeah, they built a farm. It feels kind of bad that they can't do a fishery because that's immediate. A farm takes time. But the farm mechanically is just better than a fishery, and it's
it's just immediately
that doesn't
better.
make any sense. And it's you can only build one thing, so it's they only built the house or the tenement even, and it's but you've got 12K people hanging out. You can probably do more than that. It's they're doing stuff, but they're not really helping establish civilization type stuff. They need guidance. So that, and then also trying to figure out okay, now we gotta attach the fucking large scale combat stuff to this. So the systems are just gonna kind of be kind of sort of systems. We're not going to get lost in the weeds on the mechanics for that stuff. We're just going to handle things rationally. And for like the large scale combat stuff, we'll deal with that more when we actually like start approaching that. But I don't think that's going to be for a while unless some shit goes down, which is always possible. So, does anybody have any questions regarding that as players?
Do we have to worry about the sheet at any point? Or are you gonna just kind of toss that out?
No, I'm gonna take care of it.
Okay.
Because I kind of mentioned this last session. I thought about making the Kingdom sheet available to you all, but then thinking about it, I think it would be better roleplay wise to not let you guys have access to it because, and we're not trying to go total simulationist here, but it is more realistic. Like when you're running a kingdom, it's not sitting here looking at numbers all the time. Like, sure, there is a degree of, so many people died to this disease or whatever, blah, blah, blah. Like, running the numbers is a thing, but obviously running a kingdom goes deeper than just that. And I don't want it to just be totally broken down into mechanically what are we required to do. Or trying to game it or whatever. I want it to be actually running the kingdom. So I'll be handling the sheet for any stats or whatever and stuff like that. So it'll be up for you guys to kind of sort of feel your way through it. Naturally, on certain circumstances, I may give you extra information in case certain things are not apparent through roleplay, but other than that, you won't have access to the stats.
Okay, sounds good.
Any other questions, or are we good to hop to it for the recap?
I mean, I could jump straight into the recap. There's not a whole lot to recap.
Sure.
We figured out that Tilk is going to be King Regent. Until such a point, either he's requested to do something else, or a better candidate comes along. We weren't doing great on candidates in the first place, but gabagool.
Hey, look out for any potential lakes that might toss your sword.
I don't know what Took would do with that. If a lady came out of a lake is like, this weapon is yours, you are now king, goodbye, and just fucked off, I don't know what Took would be greatly confused.
Here, have this sword, peace.
Peace.
That's a divine intervention that has no means.
Took would probably take it as divine intervention. Not the point. We then established. We then went about setting up for the Kingmaker stuff, like placing people in certain positions of power. We have Counselor Silvermoon. She is a noble who enjoys gossip. Hopefully, not too much as to get Silk into trouble, or the rest of us really. High Hand, who was previously working with the princess before her untimely demise, is now general. We have a Lady Goldleaf, who is our working with us on our treasury and tax codes. She used to work on the lower rungs of society. I don't know if we ever established if it was by choice or it was just like, you're gonna go here and you're gonna deal with it. Marshal Garrick. He's a ranger who has a one-track mind and is not too hard for him to know what he wants to do. And then the High Priestess, each of which offered their opinions of what needs to be done. We followed a number of them. We actually followed a good amount because we did some work towards our military, which appeased Marshal Garrick, appeased High Hand, We're working on homes because in order for us to build anything nice, we have to start with tenements. But like that was discussed, we'll be kind of doing away with that and just kind of following the spirit of the rules.
Yeah.
Goldleaf suggests that we not tax anybody until we actually have a business-based economy going, which makes sense. And the High Priestess suggests medical care and food. Well, we're working on food. Medical care will be difficult. We don't even know if anyone... There's like 12,000 people. Surely someone understands the concept of medicine.
Well,
So
technically I do, but
And not humors.
yeah. So in regards to the planning stuff, I'm gonna say is like as part of the planning for food, the construction for a fishery has begun as well as farm, and several tenements are kind of being planned out because naturally this is stuff that's going to happen over the next month. It's going to take a little bit of time for these things to get constructed and actually be fully underway. So you're technically not going to be immediately benefiting from these. You'll start benefiting from them next month when they are completed. That said, I believe we left off. I believe it was 27th. Yeah, 7 in the morning on the 27th. You had your meeting. I'm going to say throughout the day, you discuss plans, organize things. It was decided that you all would kind of like split your forces a little bit to go tackle a couple different things. Liana and Sveta were going to, or was decided that they were going to go off and try to round up what few members of the collegiate are within the camp to try to see what the fuck is going on with that. As Liana is your currently standing magister, in title at least. And naturally, having a little backup from Sveta would not be a terrible idea. You also have a meeting set up for the next day with Miss Goldleaf. She has one of the surviving representatives from the Artificer Guild that she insists it would be imperative to meet with if we're going to begin construction.
Yes. Deal.
You also have a meeting. Miss Silvermoon says that she would also like a meeting, but it can wait until after the meeting with the Artificers Guild representative. And she'll just be at her tent or mingling. She's sure either she'll find her way to you or you'll find your way to her by the time you're ready to meet with her.
Yeah, and I'd end up going to her unless something pressing pops up.
Yeah. So I'm going to real quick. You set your plans in motion on the 27th, so I'm going to jump ahead here on the calendar. Oh, that's actually kind of funny how that worked out.
He's laughing and I don't like it.
So the listeners won't recall this because this was back when session 1, true session 1. You were celebrating Hearthfest.
You're fucking with me.
So at the end of this month of construction will actually land on Hearthfest the day of.
That's fucked. That's fucked.
It'll be a straight year when these constructions are completed.
really,
You've come so far. Just
Was
let me
it
note down?
Was it the Artificers Guild or the Alchemist Guild?
Artificers Guild that you'll be meeting with.
the artificers are the ones who can make alchemical concrete, which could be really great for all of our buildings and defensive structure.
Yes.
Yes. No. That's what I imagine what they're wanting.
I would like to talk with these artificers when I have a moment.
Oh yeah, you'll be there for the meeting, so you absolutely can do that. We're gonna go ahead. We're gonna roll into the next day.
Speaking of rolling, let's get this out of the way.
Oh,
I just want to roll. Should roll 2d20, see how I'm looking today. A 5 and a 3. All right, those are the bad rolls for
you're looking
today.
great.
Those are the bad rolls, all right?
Sure, bet.
Bad
So
news.
it'll probably be a little bit after dawn. So we'll say it's like 8 in the morning. You go to meet. Miss Goldleaf is there at the meeting tent. And after you arrive, she says, "I'm sure the guests will be here rather soon. Hopefully." She checks a timepiece she actually has. As she kind of pushes up her glasses. And it's about like 10 minutes go by. Y'all are waiting, and finally, this
Real quick.
this dwarf. Yeah.
In the 10 minutes,
Sure.
I actually do want to ask her some questions.
Oh, sure. By all means.
Lady Goldleaf, or would you prefer Mrs.?
Mrs. I guess, yes, or Miss, or but I don't know what the technical formalities are. I'm not married.
Well, are you uncomfortable with me referring to you as Lady Goldleaf? Just for simplicity.
I'm technically not a noble, but I guess since I do have a position as treasurer, that wouldn't be uncouth. So I think that's fine. I think.
Based on our meeting that we had yesterday, the gathering of the council, I would like your opinions on some of the other individuals there. I trust High Hand and the High Priestess, as they have reputations that I'm aware of. Have you heard much of Lady Silvermoon or of Marshal Garrick?
Lady Silvermoon, I've lowborn from the lower levels of the city. I've never really existed in those circles. I only know her name, to be honest. And I'm not, well, if I'm being honest, I'm not entirely impressed with my initial impressions of her, but she at least seems competent. As for Garrick, he's a bit of a rough-seeming fellow. Although I have heard of Oben's Watch before, where he comes from. It would explain why he's a rough fellow. It's a rough town in the southern reaches of the territory. Well, it was, assuming it's even still there. A lot of drow incursions, from what I understand.
I see. I wanted to know where everyone stands with everyone else. So I wanted to make sure there was no bad blood between you or any of the other members.
No, I don't really know anybody personally. I mostly know some rumors and maybe reputations of a few. Like Sir Highhand, I've only heard good things. But, yeah.
But, as for, well, I imagine commerce will likely come later once we have more structures and infrastructure to work with. But I would ask for you to keep in mind what you believe that some of the businesses that we should try to push individuals to open and work with should be once we have a better idea of what our resources and infrastructure will.
Well, of course. And my thoughts were to like when we're going to be getting the tradesmen working the fastest, they're going to need tools, and tools also break. So getting the blacksmiths and other such folks working on those things would be very good. However, of course, in order for a blacksmith to smith, they needs a smithy.
Fire's iron.
Yes. And I know we have brought some materials and such with us, but those are only going to go so far.
Absolutely.
So lots of interconnected parts. She kind of nervously checks her timepiece again.
Aristotle is just writing in his notepad.
Fair. If there's nothing else.
Nope.
After about 10 minutes pass, the dwarf comes, not really shoving, but like pushes the tent flap out of the way. And I mean, the first thing you see of him is he doesn't actually have a full beard. He's got it's like 5 o'clock shadow pretty much. It's just like eternally like trimmed down. His hair is like short and just kind of combed back, but in the back it kind of sticks out in a variety of directions. So it seems like it's mostly just been combed out of his face, maybe even greased a bit so that it won't like spring forward. And he's wearing what would be a long coat on a dwarf that's made out of leather. He's got a couple different like various like little tools in some pockets in a shirt underneath that long coat. That is, he's got like kind of open. It's like a little hot. Well, I guess this time of year it's not terribly hot, but it is a little warm to be dressed in a long coat. But he's doing it. And his hair is like a dark, like chestnut brown. He's got dark brown eyes. And he's kind of got this like slight smirk. And he's got a thick book that is it seems to be in like a see-through case that's got edges of like steel and such to it. That is tucked beneath one of his arms. And he kind of strides in. All right. I heard you wanted to do some work, and he drops the case on the table with a loud thud. Which the table is kind of like at chest level for him. But he doesn't seem to really notice.
Not with that, Mox.
You can call me Ordis. Ordis Rule. Well, now the head of the Artificers Guild.
How many other people are with you, Ordis?
No, about 5.
Can I get the spelling of his name?
Ordus Ruul.
Real quick, Zach.
Yep.
I'm doing a general sense motive to kind of get the character, or at least how he presents himself to us. 17 sense motive.
Okay. You get the impression he's excited to be here. And he is eager. You don't get the sense that he's putting on a show.
Guildmaster Ordis Rule.
Yes.
I like your spirit.
Nice. Want to take a note of something real quick for myself before I forget, because that would be terrible.
Like the king's last name?
Kind of, sort of, yeah. Not as embarrassing, but yeah,
Don't worry, that's lost to the annals of time.
Yeah, well, it was though you said that. Anyways, it's like he kind of chuckles a bit. Good, young lad, you got spirit. So, Mrs. Goldleaf over here said you wanted to start making alchemicrete. I've been sitting on my ass wondering when somebody was gonna ask.
Well, I put my hands out. We're asking. What do we need?
He reaches into his shirt and pulls out a key that's on a necklace and slots it into the case and pops it open and then pulls open this thick tome and pages through it and opens to just like a page of like formulas you can't even begin to understand.
Are you sure?
You would need time with it to really understand it. Tilk,
I'm pretty sure there's also other jargon.
It's a bunch of lines, numbers, letters, some recognizable words. It's dense.
I believe that says wrench.
Yep. I guess could I just do a quick craft alchemy to get a gist of what's going on as he's flipping through the book?
I mean, his flipping is to this specific page. If you want to get an eye on this specific page, you can do that. Trying to glance the other pages as they're going by is going to be impossible.
All right, that's fair. Okay. I don't have a spell that allows me to speed read.
Yeah. So it's like if you want to roll for the page for what he's looking at right now, by all means.
Okay, give me
I guess while he's figuring out what he's doing. Okay, never mind. Ooh, rough. Ooh. So 2 1s, huh? Plus 12.
Oh wow. This is, that D20, man. That D20.
It's definitely alchemy is involved. But it looks like there is other things involved as well. Some type of... You've heard rumors of sort of the terms of like artifice being thrown around, as well as on one occasion magitech, as well as like arcanotech or arcanoscience. A lot of various forms of jargon that seems to involve mechanisms or natural sciences in conjunction with magical sciences. You've not really seen any of it firsthand. So to you, it's generally been jargon, but you can tell at a glance, like, okay, yeah, sure, that's an alchemical formula, but it also has other formulas attached to it. And then you think you catch a glimpse of a process mentioning electrifying a liquid substance, which is never done in alchemy. Because alchemy is the magical reaction of combining elements along with the suffusion of mana. Electricity is never involved. So it's like some parts of it are kind of recognizable. You recognize several instances of like stone being mentioned, of different types of stone, as well as like just common dirt, common sand, and other such things. But then, like, the actual processes that those things go through starts off as alchemical, but like not even halfway through the process, it turns into it's a whole nother process that you just are completely unfamiliar with.
Okay, so Kristoff kind of just looks over the page, reads, does a quick skim, and he's just like, huh, well, that is a lot. My God.
That's right, boyo. This is what separated the guilds. The alchemists just weren't clever enough.
I'm trying to see that, yeah, maybe alchemy isn't all the only end all, the only thing that is viable.
Damn straight. And this is only the beginning. You think this is hot shit? I have ideas, kid.
I look forward to seeing them.
We could do some wild shit. Assuming, of course, gracious King Regent Sloven here gives me the resources.
We're getting to that.
One step at a time.
We're trying to see what we can work with.
Right. Of course. Let me not show my whole hand here. But, so you're talking about building. What do you want to build? How much do you want to build? Because I need to get a grasp on what I'm going to need from you if you want alchemicry.
Well, I have a question, Guildmaster. What can we do as a start for just the general buildings and area of our current location to get something set up? Defensive-wise, maybe even just regular structure. Is that something that we can work with?
Fences? You mean walls, towers, whole shebang, an entire settlement, a fort?
And well, for right now, I think just the immediate, at the very least, walls and housing. We can get to a fort and the rest of a settlement once we have the basic senses for the rest of our peoples to feel comfortable.
He kind of leans back a bit and tucks a meaty thumb through one of his belt loops. Well, I think I'd have to ask you, how thick do you want your walls?
Looks over at the King Regent.
For now, well, we need them thick enough to be able to withstand potential incursion from right now mostly animals, but that requires more height, I imagine.
Well, depending on the size of the animals, could.
Have you heard the reports of the size of a number of the animals that we've seen?
I've heard some folks saying some things, but I'm a man of the sciences. And people tend to exaggerate.
You should have seen the spiders with fires.
Urstel actually opens up his notebook, flips to a couple pages, puts them in front of him with some, this is roughly the dimensions of what some of the stuff we've come across. And yes, as Rhea has mentioned,
man who takes
some of our
notes.
spiders. I'm more of the alchemical mind, so note taking is necessary.
Stands a little bit on his toes to kind of better see the book.
Oh, no. I push it over to him so he can actually take it off the table and look.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, he'll take it and he'll kind of thumb through it. Okay. Well, there are definitely big ones out there.
Everything's
normally expected.
More concern is these cat-looking ones. Cats have a tendency to jump, like the mountain cats back home. Fucking
right.
They could easily clear like a 7-foot fence. These ones we.
How viable would it be? How viable would it be for roughly, let's say, 12-foot high, 10-foot wide wall of sorts? At least enough for a person or two to kind of patrol back and forth.
Oh, so you don't want to completely encircle the camp in walls. You want just a stretch of wall?
I believe
I
encircling
believe,
would-
yeah.
best. And mind you, I don't know if we really don't need to do that.
That
to
was
the
what I was
sea.
trying to get at.
Here's the thing about a chemicrete you gotta understand.
Sure.
It's durable. It's not indestructible, it's not adamantine or, whatever, but it can take a beating. A wizard can hit it with a fireball and it can come out the other side pretty okay. Now, if it's thin, they might blow a little bit of a hole in it. But, it takes some serious firepower, especially the thicker the wall, serious firepower to get through it. If we're talking just bare minimum, just getting some protection, like anybody, like fucking bandits aren't getting in, I say we encircle the bastard, maybe do 4 inches thick should probably do the trick, and we could do up to maybe 7, 8 feet high. It's going to take a bit of alchemicrete. You're filling a volume. It's going to take a lot. It's not going to be a small endeavor, but pretty doable.
Okay.
You want to do buildings too? The buildings can kind of be the same thing. It doesn't need to be super thick. It's very sturable, very moldable. We can pretty much put it into most shapes, no problem. Of course, granted, you're not architects, but I'm not, obviously you're not going to build an entire thing off of like a fucking needle for a support or some shit like that. But I'll need, because if you want this done fast, which I'm assuming you do, I'm going to need extra hands. Like, 5 artificers. They got more important shit to be doing than pouring alchemicrete. You know what I'm saying?
I understand.
That's understandable. And
so, if you can,
situation.
if you can get hands, we can make the shit. We can supervise the pouring it. It doesn't take super skilled labor to lay out the molds and to pour it.
Okay.
The making it is the complicated part, and the storing it. That's the other thing. Between the process of pouring it, it has to be stored after it's made. It's got to go in barrels. It cannot be exposed to sunlight. It's got to be kept cool. If it gets too hot or it gets exposed to sunlight, it immediately begins to harden. And once that shit hardens, there's no melting it. There's no undoing what's been done once it begins to dry.
Okay. Question for you, Guildmaster.
Yeah.
Do you know of any, I guess, architects and engineers who would still, or who have made it with you amongst any of the ships we've had?
I mean, engineers, I got 5 of them. You know what I'm saying? We engineer all kinds of shit. But
Not
architects,
necessarily the...
I don't know about architects. Here's the thing. I wouldn't call myself an architect, but I can design you a square fucking building. All right? So, my question to you is this. Do you want a fancy schmancy castle, King Regent? Or do you want a functional box? You want a functional box? Me and my people can do that. You want a fancy schmancy castle? You might have to talk to nobles to see if any of their fucking interior designers are around town.
My primary concern is getting everyone shelter.
Functional box.
I like the way you think. So, you tell me what buildings you need. I got an idea of how you want walls. Do you want towers at all on those walls? Or you just want walls with stairs so people can get up on top? I'm assuming you're going to want a gate.
I believe we discussed a watchtower. Correct.
Correct.
Yes.
We discussed at least a central watchtower. Maybe a few...
A palisade might be a good stopgap measure until we get something more permanent up.
Palisades. Good one.
But a watchtower we definitely would want.
Right. Let me handle the more permanent structures. I'd recommend finding somebody else to do the temporary shit.
Got it. So, King Region Tilk. So for now, have them focus on at least an outer wall to start off with to give the current give the people something current for that the feel of defensive needs, and then work on developing more apt buildings of note as we develop further from our starting point. Would that seem more appropriate to start off with?
I believe so. Walls to protect everyone while we get more permanent structures that they can then have walls around them even more.
Right, so this watchtower, you want it as like part of the wall? Do you want it separate of the wall? Do you want it inside the wall, outside? Like, where do you want it?
We'd want it to have a good vantage point, so I think we would likely want to have it. Well, the ocean is behind us, so having it forward is a bad thing. So having it part of the wall would probably work.
Right. You know, and I'm a rational guy. I can figure out where to put it exactly to give you the best vantage point. You know, we got hills all around us and shit. So you know, I'll figure it out. But this is gonna be a big undertaking. So what I'm gonna need from you, I need workers to start gathering any local rocks and sand. Lots and lots of sand, as well as dirt. Just fucking collecting that shit. And we'll probably just need a designated location for all those materials to be brought. And then, until we have a more permanent solution, we're probably going to need a hole in the ground.
Big hole in the ground.
A hole in the ground, and as many barrels that can be provided. The fewer barrels we have, the longer it's going to take. Unless we're literally like, as soon as a batch is made, literally hauling it out. But that shit gets challenging. That shit dries real fast. Real fast. You can literally watch it dry. Not even kidding. It's like, it dries faster than paint. Way faster.
Understood. So does that mean that a lot of work will likely be done at night?
A portion, well, here's the thing. A lot of the production of the alchemicrete could be done at night and stored and then brought out during the day. Because that's the thing. The easiest way to get it to dry is heat or sunlight. If we work at night, we could hold fire close to it to heat it up or use magic or whatever. Working at night is also a pain in the ass. Not everybody can see in the dark.
No, my primary concern is that if work had to be done at night, then it'd be more dangerous.
The making it could be done at night, certainly. So long as, we had a few lamps or whatever. Yeah. Or, some mage fella to cast a fucking cantrip or whatever. But
I do have a question.
The actual construction needs to happen during the day. Would be the best.
So for the creation of alchemicrete, is there any specific tools that you are lacking, or?
Well, luckily, the previous king, had the foresight to make sure some of the important stuff came along. The big thing, I believe it's in one of the chests or something. It's magically contained because trying to actually physically move that thing would be a fucking nightmare. But we have a big sort of vat where materials get thrown in, a lot of stone and such, and pretty much all the stones of various types get crushed up into bits with this with a bit of magic, as well as this tool that kind of goes down into the vat. And then all the dirt and sand goes in, and it kind of gets all mixed together. And then there is additional gadgets attached to the vat that are powered by us, and that's where the real magic happens. All the various materials get mixed together, and through the power of this, alchemicrete is made. And then normally when we are working during the day, because we kept saying hours, it was very quickly transported into barrels or other containers. Back in the day, we had to use jars because the first mixtures of alchemicrete were actually a bit acidic. They ate through wood, so that took a little working. That's not a problem anymore, but yeah, fun facts for you.
What do you believe the estimation of labor-intensive hands that you're going to need?
Well, it's hard to say. Normally, we just kind of made the stuff and shipped it out, and it was handled elsewhere, away from us. And the materials were just delivered based off of our demands. We never really had to dictate number of hands required. It's going to be a sizable undertaking. I'd say at least a baker's dozen gathering materials. Maybe double that gathering materials to get the first batches underway. Because that's the thing, we don't need massive supplies of material. It actually, a little bit can go a decent way. It's not a, shall we say, a 1-to-1 ratio when it goes to material to resulting alchemicrete. It kind of expands through the process.
I'm going to make a roll real quick because I don't think Took is smart enough to ask this question.
Fair.
Because it's something that's on Brandon's mind. And it's +0? No, it's not great. 18! Am I to understand correctly that water is used in this process?
A little bit, yeah.
What would the effect of using salt water versus fresh water be?
It would be a problem. Quite frankly.
We'd also have to have...
Yeah.
We'd also have to greatly...
Yeah.
We'd also have to increase our water production.
For sure. You got people that can cast create water, by all means. Send them my way. One of the lads can, but I think he'd rather be doing more than just casting create water all day. Each batch, I mean, if we're talking the whole vat, probably need about 20 gallons. Scheme, the size of the vat with how much water is going in, not a lot. You'd really be surprised. 20 gallons sounds like a lot. It's really not. Believe you me.
Understood. I think we can allocate resources to that.
Yeah, like even if you don't have somebody who casts spells, realistically, between the time of gathering materials, if you start gathering water while people are gathering materials, you could easily put like 6 people on it with a couple of buckets, and as long as they're doing it regularly, they can stay ahead of the demand.
I believe we have a magister gathering the collegiate. Might be able to pull one of them to assist in that project.
Collegiate? Good luck getting one of them to cast Create Water. I take it you're not very magically inclined, King Regent. No offense.
No offense taken.
That falls within the domain of the divine mysteries. You're not going to find collegiate scholars, except for the occasional snowflake who can do those kinds of things.
Here, I thought they were focused on all kinds of magic, but that's not here nor there.
You don't want to get me started, Your Highness.
Either way.
Yeah.
I will look to Miss Goldleaf. Lady Goldleaf, is she like looking like she wants to interject at any point?
Not particularly.
Yeah.
It seems she's mostly here because she already had him as a contact effectively to bring him in to have this meeting.
Excellent.
Plus, like, long-term wise, this will probably be something where it'll be like, this is technically falls in a range of like, she should probably be here for meetings involving guilds.
Yeah.
Because in the future, when like an economy is going, money being exchanged will probably be a thing. Because it might be safe to assume that the guilds are not going to work for free forever.
No. We're not taxing them, so they can deal with it right now.
Yeah.
So 2 dozen individuals, 2 baker dozen, and you believe that you'd be able to have this done. What is the time frame that we'd be looking at if everything goes smooth?
Goes smoothly. I figure, well, I can't speak to work ethic of people doing the pouring and such. But between the time to teach them the very basics on how to do it, making it, I think it would maybe a month, maybe a little under, maybe a little over. Also depends on the weather, to be honest. Rainy days, no work for building. Which, to be frank, weather's kind of bipolar right now, it seems.
Yes.
One day it's sunny, one day it's raining. But we can't control the weather, so we'll make do. You source us some tarps and such. We can set up some overhangs at least over work sites during the days where it is raining, and we can try doing the heating method for drying things. It'll be, it'll work. We have to just take care that the solutions don't get wet. But rainy days will slow us down.
Is there such thing as too many hands?
No. Not when it comes to pouring the crete. Absolutely not. So long as we have crete to pour, the more hands, the better. As long as they don't fuck it up. Because, like I said, once that shit dries, That shit's dry. You're gonna have to break it, tear it down, do it again.
So I believe maybe 36 hands, and we can cover any issues that might occur for weather.
Like I said, I'm not an expert on the manpower here. You give me what you think will work. If I feel like we need more hands, I'll let you know.
Understood.
We're both kind of going into uncharted territory here, it feels like. So normally we just get paid and we make the shit and it goes. They bring us the materials. We put out barrels of alchemicrete. They go do the construction projects wherever else in the city. It was how it used to be. And they just paid us by the barrel.
Oh, we will absolutely allocate manpower. We will have groups sent to go over details.
Did you have an idea how big you want these tenements to be?
Ideally, I'd like to be able to house everybody. As of right now, everyone is more or less homeless.
Well, we could do multi-story. It won't be pretty, but it'll be functional.
Out of character, my spy master is scribbling away notes.
Yep. Yeah, I will say for the size of the tenements, because you're already you're planning to build a wall, all right? That's going to encircle the camp. Yep. So you're artificially already limiting how much space you're going to have available. I'm not going to get too lost in the knit and grit of how much space within the walls is available right now. But essentially, he's talking about building effectively 2 buildings that will be essentially apartment complexes.
Yeah.
You could build them super tall, and they'll take up less space. Or you can build them super wide, and they'll be more behind the walls, but they're going to take up more space. And I'm going to say each building, depending on how you want to go about it, will house, let's say, let me think. I'm realizing now I should have kind of maybe mapped this out a little bit better ahead of time. Let's go for a moderate, because you're just trying to rush to build what you can. Each building can fit effectively 50 families. And so you could do 5 floors with 10 apartments on each floor. Or you could do 10 floors with 5 apartments on each floor type deal. And obviously, or you could shrink it down even more and do 1 floor, and 1 floor is just 50 apartments. But obviously, it's going to take up a lot of ground space behind the walls.
I mean, I think we go tall.
The other thing to consider, going tall. I'm being friendly about this since we're just starting this. So I'm sharing these details now. In the future, I won't be as forthcoming. Building tall means they're going to stick out way above the walls. So not that saying that's immediate danger, But should a siege come, the current plan for the walls is only really going to cover like 1.5 floors of height.
No, that's
so if you go super tall, yeah, it's going to be super exposed. And it's going to be quite visible from a good distance away.
I think we go 5 floor, 10 units. And instead of 10 floors, 5 units.
He pulls out his own notepad, pulls out a feather. It seems to be magic because he doesn't pull out any ink and he begins to write.
Yeah, because like as a siege is something that we will have to worry about at some point. For the love of God, I hope we're not worrying about that in the immediate future. And then the walls can be not necessarily refurbished, but redone. These I don't expect these walls to be our permanent walls.
Right. Of course not. All right. Let me just take some quick notes here. You want 4-inch thick? We'll just do 4-inch thick everything. Keep it nice and simple. And then we're gonna keep all these apartments uniform. That's how we did it on the lower floors when we submitted the designs. Keep it nice and uniform. That way the workers can't fuck it up. Plus, it goes a lot faster because they get in a rhythm of doing the same thing over and over. So it kind of becomes second nature instead of constantly having to refer to plans.
Oh God, we're going Baroque.
And 5 floors up. All right. Yeah, that should be pretty doable. It's not terribly windy out here. It gets a little breezy coming off the ocean, but working that high up shouldn't be too much of a problem. All right. Yeah, I'll figure out the hole in the ground. And I'm sure you'll find wherever we're digging that, and I'll let you handle the workers and getting us the materials, and I'll organize with one of the captains to get wherever the hell the box with the vat is off the boat.
Understood. I thank you very much for your time and for your assistance.
Oh yeah, I think I'm gonna like working with you. You got a way about you. I got some ideas, but I need to get a proper shop before we really start talking about those.
Understood.
But let's get this underway first. And then he kind of closes up his book, locks it, tucks it under his arm, starts leaving, stops at the door. Right. He kind of does this like half bow, Your Majesty, and then just goes through the door.
The tent flap.
Yep.
Eventually I'll get used to that, I think. Now we need to think about incentivizing individuals to do the work. I hope it is enough that they would want to have a place to sleep that isn't a tent, but I could be wrong.
If I may, we could he's pretty likable around the people, it seems. We could see about getting Sir High Hand to round up some people who are willing to do some work. I'm sure he could find some people who are eager to not be idle, and will maybe do as he asks. If you think it necessary, we could also offer at least some pittance of coin for the labors. Perhaps a few copper for a day's work.
I believe that to be a good idea as extra incentive and to get not necessarily a flow of cash out to the common folk, as we have nothing for them to spend it on yet. But people working for coin, infrastructure, a place to sleep, a little work here, pay, place to sleep, I think that will be enough to get that started. We just need to be able to follow up.
Right. Well, then, if there's nothing else, I can track down Sir Highhand and share the details with him and get that underway.
I would appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Of course. She'll do a little curtsy and say, Your Majesty, and she'll dismiss herself.
I thought now there's the three of us in the tent.
Yep.
The Tilt just looks out the tent and is just like, how'd we end up here?
Something. Now I'm the Prince of Bel-Air.
Ray, you watched all that go down. What are your thoughts?
Fisk.
Oh. Did we lose Fisk?
Fisk. All right, well, we'll move on then.
Burr, burr, burr. No, your mic.
Apparently not.
Have you been trying to talk this entire time and thought we were talking over you? I'm so sorry if that's what you thought.
Hello?
Hello.
There we go.
There we go. Okay, I had to reconnect my mic. Only one time that happened where you had to, where I thought you spoke over me. But Rhea's thoughts on this is that, well, we certainly have a loss on our plate that we need to deal with, and it's not something that we really can dismiss either.
No, unfortunately not.
We have been dealt a pretty shitty hand. I gotta play with it.
We've had this hand for well over a year. Oh, almost a year.
Mm-hmm.
My issue, Erstyle, with the amount of laborers is the amount of people that we would be paying. Not because I don't want to pay those people, but because we don't have anything for them to spend it on. We're going to have a number of people that are going to be building up an amount of cash they can't do anything with. I need you to not text and drive, my guy. You make me nervous.
I mean, he's
Text to speeching, I think.
He's in traffic. Almost certainly. But yes, he is suggesting additional food instead of money.
I mean, we're not at the point of rationing.
But no, I mean, that's true. You're not in a rationing stage. So extra food. Food is plentiful, so extra food may not be the incentive you hope it is. Unless you can like organize like some bakers. Find the remnants of the baking guild and start getting sweets made. And people who do good work get paid in sweets.
I will happily pay people in Little Debbie's.
God,
that's why
I'd do some work for some zebra cakes.
No shit. That's the issue that we run into, is that like a little bit of money here and there promises future commerce and that they're ahead of the game just by, contributing. If we give that to too many people, then we have a bunch of people with surplus that aren't nobility. We're gonna be like, man, the fuck's the point in this if we don't have anything to spend it on, and then we're not gonna be able to use that carrot again. Food's not scarce. We can't say, okay, you get an extra ration. Rationing.
I said, since it's still early stages, I will offer my 2 cents. Offering money may not be a massive incentive at the moment because there isn't anything to spend money on. However, these are all people who are used to getting paid for their work and are used to having to buy things.
Which one's still normancy?
If they are being offered money for work, there is a degree of normalcy there, but also people, they may not be educated, but they're not dumb. They understand right now there is not economy, but if people start being paid money, people are going to start asking money for things. Because now you have something to exchange
potentially
for goods and services.
Kickstart business doing that.
Even if it is just small business between people. Of just like, hey, I've been helping them out. Could you build the walls or whatever? Could you cover my shift? And you can get my pay for the day or whatever. Or, people have also been on boats for 8 months. And, maybe there are some folks around who's like, you know what, maybe a little hanky-panky for some extra money could help out. Or, but also, some people will see, okay, money is now being distributed and stuff. Maybe it's time to maybe there is a baker who is if I can get my hands on stuff, I can start selling things. Right. There's potential. I'm not saying it will just flat out go out smoothly like that, but it could be at least an injection into the community mindset. Because now there is at least a degree of certainty that things will be moving forward.
Okay. Which is what I was kind of thinking. I didn't think it would. I didn't think about the.
I'm not telling you what you should do. I'm just giving a perspective.
Yeah, and I think
you could choose to not give them shit and be like, you want a house? Fucking build it. That could be the take you have.
Yeah. Which I thought about briefly, but then what do they do when their house is built? And it's like, I'm fucking done. Fuck you guys. I didn't think it would potentially subscription then pay then notoriety. Stop it. But I didn't think it would Yeah, I didn't think it would necessarily ripple out that way. I think pay is our best option. But with it rippling out like that, then potentially paying more people could potentially cause more businesses to start to pop up and commerce to start moving. I think we might want to go with that many people. Check in with High Hand. But now I have a meeting with Silvermoon.
I will tell you this. Effectively, the actual numbers of people you send towards Ordis to get this done, you'll have the manpower. The amount of people available is not a problem. It's the question of having enough people to get it done within a month. The more people that are sent, and essentially, I'm not worried about sweating the minutia like that. You can essentially say, if you tell me we want to make sure it's done by the end of the month, then mechanically that can happen. And I just take note of that in case it would impact anything. But if you're saying, no, we want to minimize how many people we're sending, if it takes longer, then I take note of that. And if things play out like the weather to the point that would cause it to take longer, then it takes longer. But otherwise, if you're telling me we're going to dedicate however many people it takes for the project to be done by the end of the month, then it's done by the end of the month. So long as nothing otherwise prevents. So
I think we dedicate the manpower needed to get it done by the end of the month.
Yeah. And then you're gonna offer them pay. And I'm not gonna dictate how much the pay actually is.
That's what I have a treasurer
There's
for.
probably a number somewhere for manual labor. I will look at it later.
Yeah.
But it's at least money getting pumped in because not everybody when they left had time to like grab their coin purses. A lot of these people maybe only have a couple coppers to their name coming over here.
Yeah. But I think paying them is a good start. And I have a treasurer to be like, that's too much, that's too little at the moment.
Yeah, like that's the other thing is like you do not need to make every minute decision. You all are in positions of power, and you also have NPCs who specialize in things. You can dictate and be like, you have some amount of expertise in this. Go handle this, and they will do their best. If it's something that it's in question, they will make a roll, and there might be a chance that they fuck it up. But things that are fairly easy, like the treasurer balancing out like what is acceptable pay for manual labor for a day's work, that's not a problem. She doesn't need a roll for that. She handled taxes for the ground floor in the city. She knows what like going rates are. 2 silver pieces in this economy. No, kidding. But yeah. So as you all are hanging in there talking amongst yourselves for a few minutes,
Yep. It's about
Lady
time to-
Silvermoon
There she
sticks her head in. I take it this is a good time.
Yes, I was actually going to send someone for you.
Fantastic. She comes in and she is joined by a fellow who is dressed in black robes, which also has a mask that covers up the lower half of his face, but you can see when he comes in, he does lower the hood when the tent flap closes behind, and you see he's got not a totally shaved head, but it's short, curly black hair that is like trimmed close to the scalp. He has black skin, dark eyes, and he pulls the lower half of the cowl away from the lower half of his face. There is few things we would like to discuss, some of it involving the previous queen, as well as the remains involving the assassins.
Yes.
This is Lou Murrer. He is he's kind of become the man in charge of the what remains of the mortuary. He nods. It is good to be meeting you, King Regent. As she says, I am Lou. And please, you don't need to call me by any titles. Lou is fine. there has been some curiosities I think should be brought to your attention in regards to the bodies of the assassins. Well, one in particular. Although 2 of them will certainly be at least interesting, I think. If you have the time, I don't want to impose. I understand things are rather busy at the moment.
First dog, 23 on a sense motive for the new NPC.
You get the impression Lou is a guarded man. He is very cautious about what he says, but he is not hiding any intent. He seems to be genuinely doing his job.
Aristotle perks up at the Aristotle perks up at the mention of medical curiosities of some of the bodies.
Those
Intriguing.
are actually of great interest, so I will make time. So please.
Very well, if you'll come with me, and he will reapply the face mask and pull his hood up, and then he will head out of the tent. And he will lead your group throughout a portion of the camp to one of the outer edges where there is a relatively large-sized tent that's kind of been established on the outer edges of where the nobles are. Kind of near to where the kind of religious groups have kind of gathered a little bit. And leads you inside. You can see that there are at least a handful of other people who are dressed like him, black robes, hood up, face mask covering the lower half of their faces. As we kind of discussed last session, these are followers of the bone. Well, maybe a session before last, can't remember when they came up. But the mortuary is the nice way of saying the followers of the bone. They handle the dead, give them burial rites and such to ensure Cyrus is appeased so that the dead do not come back with a vengeance, or that Cyrus chooses to inflict a vengeance upon the living for disrespecting the dead. It's kind of, as just people living within the kingdom, you all would know, it's kind of not as dramatic as an accepted evil or as a necessary evil, but it is something held at arm's length. Inside the tent, there are a few tables that have kind of been turned into makeshift sort of operating tables in a sense. And you see there is one, there's actually a cot separate on the side where the queen is set aside, sheet draped over her. So you can't see the body itself, but it's not hard to piece together that it's her, as there are 5 tables, 4 of which have the bodies of these foreigner assassins laid out, and it's clear they have not begun to decompose. The 2 that were the bat-like creature monsters are still in such forms, and the 2 who had killed themselves are still in human forms. Let's us begin with just the simple curiosities, I think, be a good starting point. And he goes over to the bat creatures, where they have been cut open. Their ribs have been broken so that the chest cavity can be properly seen. And he spends a few minutes like pointing out some interesting tidbits. But you see here, the body mostly has enlarged, but there seems to be an additional organ that seems to match that of a stomach. However, in this one, it is mostly empty, but in the female here, it is, and he pulls back a flap, and you can see that there is like coagulated blood that has been like pooled inside, and it's like a significant amount. It seems to be a second stomach specifically for storing blood. I think it's safe to assume that whatever creatures they are, whatever they're afflicted with, blood consumption plays a significant role in how they survive or operate. It would certainly explain when we gathered their belongings along with the bodies. There was not a lot in the way of food with them. I do not know or presume to know what their survival situation was like. However, seeing this in conjunction with that, I draw conclusions. My assumption is some level of sustenance off of blood. But I may be wrong.
Would that be somewhat akin to, I believe it was vampires we ran into while we were in the kingdom?
Certainly. I have worked on a vampire corpse once before. They do not have the telltale signs of undead. I can assure you that. These were very much living creatures. While there are similarities with the feasting on blood, they are. I have reason to believe this is not another strain of vampirism. I would need
naturally feed on the blood. I don't know, mosquitoes.
No, yes. And considering the size of the animals around here, I think it would be quite feasible if they were, well, given their monstrous form, quite feasible for them to gorge themselves. So that might explain why they did not carry much in the way of rations. But aside from that, these forms give them an interestingly increased musculature, obviously prodigious size, but greater strength, greater flexibility, as we found in the joints. And I believe it is safe to say that their perceptions were greater, at least their hearing. As for their sight, we are unsure. But hearing, just based off the internal structures that we've looked at for their ears, likely very precise. Very similar to actual bats from back home.
Did you find it difficult to open them up?
No, actually. There was some initial resistance. Their hides are dense, but we managed. Honestly, the ribs were the hardest part. The bones seem to have thickened with their increase in size.
Interesting.
But not a problem. We have tools for these such things. So the matter that was more immediately concerning to me, however, is in this one. and he walks over to. You recognize the woman who was the one that had been carrying the bow.
Mm-hmm.
As Erstyle will recall, she was the one who was carrying the poisons. She was one of the two who had slit her wrist. She's still in human form. Several cuts along the wrist. You see they had removed the bandages around the arms. There are at least a dozen horizontal slashes on the underside of the forearms on both arms.
Okay.
He has similarly opened up the chest cavity and the gut. How familiar are you with what happens to the body post-mortem?
I have some approximate knowledge.
Done a couple funeral rites, but the specifics are not my strong suit as to what happens to the body medically.
Right. In that case,
real quick, out of character.
Yep.
Would a skill check be something we could work with?
Yes.
Cool. So, I will do that. Cool. I get a 29 on my skill check.
Mm-hmm. So you look inside. All seems pretty normal human anatomy. Something does stick out to you, though. Around the heart, you see there is some kind of whitish buildup around the heart. In various parts, especially around the portions where blood actively pumps. It's not so much on the musculature of the heart itself, but the various tubes and such that pump blood out and in. The question is, if you have the arcane knowledge to know what it is. If you have knowledge arcana, you can roll it.
I do have knowledge arcana. I will attempt.
Your heal check tells you that is something that is not supposed to be there. It's definitely not fat. It's not some other natural byproduct.
$27.
Cool. Yeah. So you actually know about this. So seeing this, it takes you a moment. But you become. It comes back to you. There are times when arcane casters, as well as divine casters, because regardless of where the source of magic comes from, they pull on mana within the world. Mana is an ambient energy source. It can be pulled upon, and typically either the body or an item, typically a focus, channels that mana. Most of the time, it's the body, because most people don't use a foci of any kind. This isn't really a problem. It's just energy passing through. However, you're aware that in circumstances where somebody were to die while actively performing magic, sometimes the mana is not dispersed from the body. It gets stuck in a sense, and the mana kind of lingers. Lower level mana, like cantrip level magic, very rarely has the side effect on a corpse. it starts getting into the more leveled magic where there's a chance of this happening. And essentially, the higher the level, the more likely it is to see this kind of what's referred to as mana scarring inside the body. And it typically manifests around the heart as well as throughout veins. And you're also aware that there are cases where it's a rare occurrence, but there are cases where wizards and sorcerers and such who have died, but then immediately been revived and then suffer a heart attack because of high levels of mana essentially calcifying inside their veins.
Oh.
And revivification does not heal the body correctly to deal with that sometimes.
No.
But the important takeaway here is this woman died while she was performing magic.
Well, that looks to be a bit of a magical residue and a very significant amount. Do you have an idea of how strong of magics she may have been performing prior to expiration?
I can actually do you one better.
Oh.
We specialize in dealing with the dead, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
We have certain lores and mysteries, you can say, to decipher these things. From my expertise, I can with some confidence say that she had either just ended or was in the middle of an invisibility spell when she breathed her last.
Really?
Why I wanted to bring this up, because considering the circumstances, it's not terribly surprising. Why I felt it was necessary to bring your attentions to it is that amongst their belongings, we did not discover any component pouches or foci that we would recognize as such. And further yet, the calcification of the remaining mana within the body. If you notice, he kind of indicates with a gloved hand to one of the stretches of it that kind of follow one of the major tubes. The coloration is a little off. Normally, it would have a sort of whitish blue coloration similar to ice. This is closer to a pure white. It's very subtle, easy to miss. I almost did. But between all of these things, in my professional opinion, they are not, or at least this woman was not performing the arcane in ways familiar to us.
So you're saying they are having slightly different magics of sorts?
Now, I should say, I am not a member of the collegiate. I have done many, many academic studies, however, but in my professional opinion, I do believe arcane magic was at work. I believe this is a method we do not have.
Intriguing. Very intriguing.
may need to.
Child just and writes down stuff in his notepad.
Oh, we may need to get members of the collegiate to potentially examine, see if there's any signs that they can discern. Would it be an affront to let them examine this in the next day or so? Or do preparations and rites need to be done now?
We can give it rites and prayers suitable for bodies being donated to higher learning. It's not common, but there are such rites that should smooth it over. And preserving the bodies is no problem. However, there is other business we should address. He gestures with a hand towards the cot that presumably has the queen's body underneath the sheet. She is preserved. We have given basic rights, but Miss Silvermoon, yes, we really should see about a proper service. I think it would be good for the people, and I am thinking people need. Well, let me be clear in my line of thinking here. People have had a lot of reason to be mourning. I think we need to have a proper memorial service both for the princess and as establish a greater day to sort of pay respects.
I agree.
Give people a bit of a platform, and if I may be so bold, make a holiday of it. These sorts of things, it might give them a better sense of closure and a way to sort of at least temporarily move past it without completely forgetting about it, as some would say.
No, I understand, and I believe that to be a good decision.
Yes. Real quick, out of character. Isk, are you there?
I am.
Okay, just wanted to make sure your mic didn't do the weird thing again.
So there was a question that I had, or thought. Maybe these bat creature, these locals, maybe they are natural spellcasters and thus don't need any components.
Lou clasps his hands. There was considerations on this, and it is a valid point, and we have at the moment no means of either confirming nor denying. It is not common to have biological indications, at least in such specimens as this. For example, if we were to cut open a sorcerer who had simply died of old age, they would appear no different to any other cadaver, despite their magic being innate. So it is certainly a thought.
I wonder.
However, I think the mana calcification would look familiar to us. I think the coloration is indicative of something where it could be a different tradition of doing magic. But I'm willing to accept that could be an incorrect assessment. Perhaps these creatures are capable of some innate magic, and the discoloration is just, biology is messy. As accurate as it tries to be, it is oftentimes inconsistent.
I have a question, Lou.
Yes.
Have you, as you've likely worked with many who have unfortunately passed untimely, have you ever beheld any objects that were used, focuses that were used by a caster mid-death? Do they have similar scarring?
No. The scarring is a result of mana passing through the body as the focus. When one uses an item as a focus, the mana is channeled through the focus. The foci, one would think because it has effects on the body, it would also have effects on the foci, but it rarely does. On occasion, some would report, a cracked wand, a burnt holy symbol. Whether or not it is the mana itself sort of calcifying or what have you as a result of the death mid-magic, or simply results of magical combat, it's hard to say.
It's a leap in logic, but we have 2 blood-centric specimens. We have an individual who regularly cut herself, as it seems, who died from bleeding out. Am I correct, or was she?
Yes, as did the other one. He peels back the sheet from the 4th body that is also still human, and similarly from his bandaged arms, this is the guy who had the staff.
Yeah.
He also has about a dozen horizontal cuts on the forearms, from where he had also cut himself several times.
I know for sure that he mentioned pointing out one of our fellows having access to magic. My question becomes, if 2 out of the 4 are blood-centric because they need to eat it and consume it, what if the other 2 weren't just a source? Like you said, there are plenty of things out there that they could eat, so they may not have needed to require it. What if their focus is their blood? I have no evidence to point at this. I just see a pattern.
Yours just blood magic?
Blood is the foci. Well, blood magic is not unheard of. Blood is the foci. I don't believe I've seen studies on that effect. Let's see. He kind of holds a gloved finger to his chin as he thinks. Well, it's quite hard to say. I do not believe. Like I said, I've not seen such a thing before. If I were to guess from my understanding, make an educated guess, I don't believe you would see similar calcification within the blood. I think if you were using blood as a focus, it would likely curdle. However, in traditional blood magic, from my understanding, and let me be clear, I'm not a practitioner. My understanding comes from a purely academic standpoint, as it is often a level of understanding is required for a member of the mortuary proper. In traditional blood magic, blood is not the foci. Blood is, in a sense, a battery. Because while mana is powerful, the only greater source of energy and power is life essence. And blood, as well as the sacrifices of the living, is a fast way to attain that energy. So, in my professional understanding, you would have mana still traveling through the body as the focus. And you would not see side effects within blood itself. Hypothetically speaking.
Yeah, hypothetically speaking and all. It's just I noticed we have a pattern, so it was a thought. It was a leap in logic. I'll see if I can get more magically focused scholars to examine and perhaps come up with definite answers. I thank you very much for pointing this out to us.
Of course.
And then I'll look back to Lady Silvermoon. I apologize. We were discussing making a day of remembrance.
Yes, I think sooner the better. I understand you want to get construction and such on the way, but I think tomorrow or maybe the day after, have an established day for paying the respects and such before work on the future begins, to sort of settle the past and prepare one for what comes next.
That'd be a wise decision. Are you aware of the funeral rites or funeral customs of the royal family?
I am aware, although I have not attended a royal funeral before. The last one was when I was a wee girl, way too young to be attending such a thing. However, I trust our quite professional Lou here is the man for the job. He nods. They can lead the prayers and such. I would like to organize, some decent voices to do some singing and such. There is a handful of funeral songs, but I think there's quite a relevant elven song that could do the trick. But I think overall keeping it simple and picking a good spot. I'm thinking one of the hills. Probably best not too close to the shore, but a hill with a good view would do nicely.
I believe that to be a good place to have it as well.
Very well then. With your gracious stamp of approval, I will get that underway. Did you want to aim for tomorrow or the day after?
Out of character. Man, I wish I knew how long it's going to take for Sindra and Damiani to do their thing.
I would like to aim for
Day after.
tomorrow.
Okay. What I'm going to say for Sindra Damiani, I'm going on the assumption that just because outside of putting things into motion, there's not going to be a lot to do other than just managing, and I'm not going to role play all the managing over the month. So we're going to go on and say it's safe to assume that they are busy handling their shit, and it's not going to be stuff that's going to deeply impact what you're doing this month.
Okay.
So essentially what's going on this month is going to kind of keep the people at capacity, essentially, for what they can handle effectively.
Gotcha.
Because you're building a fishery, and like some of this stuff, while it's being constructed, is also like turning around and being actively used. So like the fishery, while it's partially constructed, people are going to start using it, and like people are going to start building boats as part of that. Like we didn't discuss boats being built, but you're building a fishery, you need boats. So people are building boats. You also need nets. People are making nets. You know, stuff like that. There's also, you're building a farm. Cool. There are some people who are going around and looking around at the local flora to learn about what plants grow here. As well as planting potatoes.
Gotcha. I just didn't want to.
Because it was deemed the potatoes will grow.
Yeah. Is it dirt? You can grow potatoes.
Yes.
Additionally, Lady Silvermoon, I'd like to go back to our council tent, and I wish to discuss other matters as well.
By all means. So you all dismiss yourselves. Lou returns to his work.
Yeah, I will thank Lou very much for this information.
Oh yeah, he's a cordial fella. So you all head back to the planning tent.
Yep. There are several matters that I need to discuss.
Okay.
Yep.
Go for it.
First of all, I thank you very much for your counsel and getting us in touch with Lou. I'd be interested in the details on how you came across this information. Purely
About Lou?
About Lou and the state of the assassins.
Truth be told, I only went there for the sake of the past princess to consider handling the those affairs, because, well, somebody has to. And then I had that wonderful idea for a holiday, and just... it was all just coming together so well, and while I was there, he brought it up, since I am a sort of... what do we even call it? A council? Anyways, he knew I advised you, and he suggested it be brought up. So I thought it pertinent to do so, even though I didn't quite understand why it mattered. But truth be told, I barely know the man. I try to stay away from those sorts. They're a very grim bunch with a very strange sense of humor, typically.
Not great for dinner parties, I imagine.
Oh no, terrible, terrible company. Really, really bring the mood down. This is kind
really
of a faux
darken it,
pas.
don't they?
Yes.
But I wanted to also ask you a couple of other things. Of the
Certainly.
of the council that you saw last night, you... I don't mean to be rude about this, but you seem to have a penchant for gossip.
Well, of course, information is everything, darling.
I wanted to get your take on the rest of the members.
Oh, well.
My
Sir High Hand could really use a wife, that's for sure. I've heard he's got a little bit of a temper. Could help smooth him out, if you catch my drift.
Yes, I can see that.
As for the High Priestess, well, talk about a workaholic. She doesn't know how to let her hair down. But I guess that's what you want out of a religious leader, so what do I know?
Mm-hmm.
Garrick opens watch. Rugged. A little handsome, if I do say so. In a sort of wild man sense. A little brash, though. Not really suited for, well, proper company. But I suppose you need a wild man for a wild job, so I'm not going to call his selection into question. Just, I wouldn't bring him into any fancy parties, I don't think. Not without, lessons.
Unless it was intentional.
Yes. As for, Miss Goldleaf, well, sometimes I wonder if she'd be a better suited librarian, but she knows money. She knows money real well. She doesn't have much of a backbone, but who knows? Maybe a position of power will give her the experience she needs to grow one.
Out of character wise, I want to roll sense motive.
Oh, sure.
Well, shit.
What?
No, actually, it's not.
Let me double check what her stats are real quick. So I am gonna have her.
Oh no, you're gonna have to roll. Well,
Yeah.
You don't get to know if it's diplomacy or deception.
Or is it called bluff in this? I don't remember.
There it is.
it's bluff. Oh no, it's bluff and then intimidation.
Bluffception.
Bluffception. You know what? We're going with bluffception.
Ooh. Oh, okay. No,
With a mythic.
Yeah.
I thought that was her one.
No.
You
I rolled.
think she's being honest? She's kind of hard to read. Because you've been around her enough at this point, like, you think she probably has a mask up at all times. So you're not sure if she's being fully honest. You think she might be, but there's that inkling
maybe a little bit more honest.
Uncertainty.
Maybe a little bit more honest. Maybe just kind of throwing out conversation.
It's hard. It's hard.
Oh no. Okay. Yeah, beat me by 5 points. Fuck.
I enjoyed my notes that I've taken. But I think it's important to know that there is no bad blood between individuals of the council. Seeing as your disposition is mostly neutral, in need of a wife and bit mad on High Hand's part, I don't disagree with, but I wouldn't necessarily call it neutral. But I just want to make sure that there is no internal conflicts.
Oh, you won't have internal conflicts from my end.
Well, unfortunately, that brings
Like I said, I'm here to serve.
Which brings me to my hopefully final point, as I don't want to overkeep you. I need to know what precisely my extended family has done.
Oh, what happened there, darling? I mean, what any aristocratic family does. Make investments, dabble in gambling, have a few scandals involving, whatever, sleeping around, drugs, rampant alcoholism, just being lousy with money.
That all of them, or is that specific members?
Good few of them. I'd say, luckily for you, I'm assuming you're going to be asking about your, the ones that are here, right?
Yes.
And
Yes.
when she started mentioning gambling, Tilk starts rubbing his temples.
Well, I will say, I think Aldrich's biggest problem is he doesn't know a good business opportunity if it slapped him in the face. Most of his money's been pissed away on poor business decisions. And then there's been a few, well, you could call it gambles, a few expenditures on expeditions for a chance of big payout, but they all flopped one reason or another. Isidore, however, is, well, I imagine the trip over was rather difficult for her, considering she hasn't been able to get her fix for nearly a year now. I'm sure she's clean at this point, but, well, way I heard it, she was barely holding it together before everything went down.
Hang on, I'm taking notes.
Great.
All of the notes.
Yeah, I'm trying to find my cousin's spelling of her name. Scrolling through so many fucking notes.
Isadora.
Is an addict. Fantastic.
That sounds like a noble.
If I may bother you to divulge what she was unnecessarily consuming?
I couldn't say for sure. I heard a lot of different things.
Honestly,
Maybe all of them. Hard to say.
Honestly, that is the answer I least wanted to hear, but the one I most needed to hear. Okay.
Yes, if you want a specific answer, I'm afraid you're going to actually talk to her.
Yep. How have the nobles been taking it?
Oh, there are some who are calling into question your position. Quite a few, actually. Mostly grousing at the moment. They are not thrilled about the living conditions. That is the biggest source of complaint. They are watching your moves very closely. They are hoping to have solid roofs over their heads before too long.
It is actually one of the main projects we are working on, along with solid defensible walls.
Yes, if you want to keep them happy, I would recommend ensuring all of them are housed first. And if you house any of them, you're going to have to house all of them.
How many individuals?
Unless, of course, you want to play favorites.
That is a dangerous game.
Yes. Going off of Tilk's thing, how many houses of nobility do we have in
The
stock?
moment, it depends on how you classify nobility, she says with a sickeningly sweet smile.
Oh boy.
However, if you want to consider pretty much anybody who came from any kind of wealth, we are looking at approximately, specifically 43 of varying sizes. There are a few houses that are literally surviving members of one at the moment, but there are also a few that go up to as high as 10.
Is that just the house itself, or is that also including their hand?
Just the house itself. Counting hands is, well, I have more important things to do.
That's actually useful.
And quite frankly, in this point in time, hands are a bit nebulous.
Okay, so roughly 43 noble houses of sorts available. Give or take 40. Do we count you as well, Tilk, or were you counting a new line?
That remains to be seen if I am the last surviving Sloven by the end of the night. I say that as a
only
joke.
just tonight. Only just tonight. Okay.
I will shoot Lady Silvermoon a look. I mean that as a joke.
Of course, of course.
Intriguing.
How many houses of considerable influence? Where they would have
considerable. Now you're thinking. By my count, 7.
7.
Those 7 are the real shakers and movers and the ones you need to be concerned about. Hence my saying, if you want to pick favorites. If they're happy, the rest will more than likely fall in line. However, we're a, shall I say, a scheming bunch. Slight too many of the smaller houses, and you may have a problem.
Absolutely.
Okay. Where are my notes for? Where are my notes for representation?
Do the 7 houses of considerable influence, are they also ranging from 1 to 10, or do they have a more solid number between them?
It is variable.
Roughly the same range.
Some of them have a few, some of them have just the one, some of them have up to that 10 figure. It's no different from the big 7. Although the big 7 all at least have 2 surviving members.
Okay.
There are none that have a sole survivor. Yes, I know killing one off is very easy, but 2 starts to get problematic.
That's not too bad.
So I have a question. If we were to
I have an answer.
say the 2 or 3 of the higher houses, and then a number of the smaller ones, or to give them living spaces, would that keep them at bay for a little bit from wanting to choke me out in my sleep? And
I would say that would greatly depend on which houses you select.
Wonderful politics.
You see, my gracious King Regent, the games the nobility plays are not complex, but can be quite dangerous. And these are games, once you begin to play, you do not get to get up from the table. Once you play, you are a player. And losing could very well mean your life, especially in such a position as yours.
And I assume that because of where I am in my position, I am immediately in the game.
Almost at the moment, you are, in a sense, beyond reproach to a degree. You are not participating in the game. But tip your hand any one way, and well, all things considered, right now, in this situation, in this part of the world, when so much is up in the air, she shrugs. Anything could happen.
My overall goal is for everyone eventually to have a roof over their head.
Oh, certainly. And everybody shares that thought. But as you know, nobody wants to be the one stuck out in the tent at the end of the month.
And I understand that. One of the things that we are currently working on is, like I said, housing. But as Guildmaster Ordis Rule, whenever with us, they know how to make a box. We don't have much in the way of architecture or finer things, even for the design of homes.
If I may be blunt, Your Highness, nobility is about status. In the days of old, and even in some recent years, when a house would go to war, oftentimes a leader of that house, somebody from the family, would serve as the general to that army. And they would go into the field with their men. And they camped with their men. However, to be a noble is status. Without status, you're no better than a commoner. And so when the general camps with his men, he camps in the nicest tent, the biggest tent, the finest tent, with the finest amenities. But he is in a tent nonetheless.
Which,
if a gray box is the nicest housing available, that is where they will want to be. When the next upgrade is available, that is where they will want to be. And so on, and so on.
Which was where I was getting to my point on if there are any individuals that are skilled with architecture among the houses, or if they have someone in their payroll that would fit such description, they will be needed in order to get that status. Those who provide that and can help provide that individual to help get other infrastructure set up other than just boxes.
I could put out feelers for such architects, although I would have you know I am no artificer. But I will say this, the nicest houses in Adax were not constructed of alchemicrete. While durable, it is not suited to finer structures, we shall say. And it's all kind of drab to look at on top of that.
Fair.
You want housing fitting nobles, you're going to need proper materials. Wood, stone, and so on. You cannot build something fancy looking out of alchemicrete. It works well for boxes, I will give it that. But molding it into shape would require a lot of work. And then you would need to paint it, and, well...
Were we
considering...
all here, by the way?
Yeah.
Huh?
Well, maybe it's a good foundation to build something more fancy upon, at least.
Yes, and considering how few trees there are, if you manage to build homes worthy of nobility out of wood, they will be all the more thrilled.
My primary goal with asking for if anyone can provide an architect from the noble houses is that those noble houses would be looked more favorably. Because we will have to pick favorites. We do not have the capacity in the time frame of this month to set up enough structures for everybody to sleep in.
I can put out feelers and locate what architects I can, if any. I cannot confirm at this moment if there are any available, but I can look into it on your behalf.
And I'd appreciate it greatly.
Was there anything else?
Out of character, that feels like a leading question.
Out of character, I cannot confirm nor deny.
Okay.
Out of character, my man, we're stepping into the entire political intrigue of dealing with nobles.
Yeah, I know. Copyright.
Bro, we got 10 seconds.
Hey, humming it by natural means is probably not enough to get us there.
Yeah, probably not.
HBO is litigious. Not Disney litigious. Not Nintendo litigious.
It's the litigious.
Is there any more that you wish to add, Lady Silvermoon?
Not at the moment. I have a decent amount on my plate at the moment. A funeral to plan, arrangements to make. Did we decide tomorrow or the day after?
Tomorrow.
I will say the day after, but okay.
If we wait the day after, that means building takes longer.
That's true.
We want those walls up so that lions, tigers, and bears, oh my, are not stealing kids in the night.
Hey, now, you haven't seen any tigers or bears yet?
Yep.
All right. So she's going to go off. We're going to go ahead. The next day, the 29th of here now, you do have the ceremony. There's not really much for RP here. It is, for you all, it is largely pretty much getting as cleaned up as you can and being seen effectively as the leadership. You're kind of separate from like the rest of the crowd and such. And you don't really have an active role in the funeral. Lou kind of heads the prayers. Lady Silvermoon gives a kind of surprisingly touching speech.
Okay. I didn't know if she was going to handle a speech or mine was.
Yeah, she knows how to talk to people. Like, that's not a shock. It's just, considering how she talks in your meetings and such, it's kind of surprising that she can seem so heartfelt.
So she can turn down the sass. Gotcha.
Yes. But she gives a nice speech kind of touching on the point of, let this be a day to remember what's been lost, but also a day to remember that there is an after and we need to look forward. But delivered much more poignantly.
Yeah,
I wasn't really able to kind of like. I tried to sit down and come up with like a touching speech, but I just couldn't force it to happen. So that's why I'm not actually reciting a speech.
I'm gonna be honest. I've been sitting here trying to write a speech off to the side the entire time because I thought I'd be delivering it.
Fair. No, she was not going to spring a speech on you within a day. She's smart enough that it's like, if I give him the chance to, he's probably gonna fuck this up.
I'm insulted.
Because I dropped this on him like last minute. Well, she just knows that's kind of how it goes. Like, she has a job for a reason.
Yeah.
She didn't necessarily express this to you, but I'm telling you as like GM, like, this kind of thing is kind of her job. If you were going to be the one delivering the speech, you would have had a lot more prep time. And would have had people like, you know, giving you tips and pointers and shit.
Yeah.
But she didn't need to give you a chance to like hang yourself in front of the entire population so soon. So a speech is given. There are prayers led by Lou. The people don't really like actively participate in these prayers. These are more funeral rites for burial. And there is a small chorus of like 6 women that Lady Silvermoon did pull together that sing a song in Elven. For those who speak Elven, it is a very haunting, mournful dirge about a young maiden who was taken far too soon. It's a very, very old tune, but one pretty much like every minstrel knows if they can speak Elven. As some would say, an oldie, but a goodie. But one that really cuts at the heartstrings. And Princess Aelora is buried on a hill with a decent view of the sea, and there is a tree growing on that hill.
It will likely be called Queen's Rest.
That's actually what I was about to say. It's that Lady Silvermoon was going to declare it Queen's Rest. And there's mingling that happens afterward. Like, the bulk of the crowd disperses, but people kind of just take the day to kind of just soak in it, really. And as was discussed, the next day on the 30th, work resumes. Or, well, work begins, really. And as was suggested, High Hand is the one who kind of rallies the manual labor to get it to happen. And it seems to go off without a hitch. Some people seem to be like, okay, money, cool. Some people are like, what am I supposed to do with this? It's kind of mixed reception. It's something that you're just going to have to long-term wait and see what happens.
Yep.
But work goes underway. Over the next few days, you have several people kind of coming in alongside Garrick, bringing flora and fauna for you to kind of see as like your official reports of like, what the fuck is living around us? What can be eaten? Let me grab my notes here to share some of the stuff I've been sitting on for a hot minute.
Yay.
If I can fucking find the channel I put it in, because I have a whole server of notes.
I'm going to be honest. I'm going to end up, I have like 6 notebooks stored somewhere. I'm going to end up copying my notes and like this is what's going on in the politics. These are the people we know, instead of this one long sheet that I currently have.
Okay. So there are some things that you also have back home. With a proper like knowledge nature check, you would know about them.
Yay! Roll out.
There's flowering lettuce and sweet mold, as well as corn.
Oh my god, corn!
And the corn here tends to grow in shades of yellow, orange, and red, and on a rare occasion, purple.
Interesting.
But it's otherwise, it's corn. However, there is a variety of things you do not know about. But you're about to know about them because I'm going to tell them to you.
Oh, yay!
And pretty much like Ollie, if you're rolling the knowledge nature, if you beat like a 12, you can know what sweet mold and flowering lettuce is. It's literally as it is raw.
16.
So one of the first things.
Oh yay!
Yeah, one of the first things that gets brought back are something that looks very similar to a pepper. Which it is a pepper. They are vibrant orange, and they're brought to you as a cluster. It is edible. They're spicy but sweet, and yet have this weird hint of citrus to them. But quite spicy. They got one hell of a kick. There is like pucker factor when you bite into one.
Silk loves it, considering that when he first had like hot wings, there was nat 20. It was like, this ain't hot.
Yeah. These are hot. They are called. Some people have called them sunburst peppers.
Ooh.
There's also something that the people have begun calling ember melon. It looks kind of like a watermelon, and a pumpkin had a baby. Kind of. They have a flame-colored rind and a juicy golden orange flesh. They have this sort of refreshing sweetness to them, and eating them kind of as is tastes fine. You get the feeling if it was cold, it would taste better. And some people have started making drinks out of them because of how juicy they are. The other thing that's been brought forth is fire leaf spinach. They're thick, serrated leaves with fiery red veins that stand out against its green foliage. It has a slightly peppery flavor. But it seems to be filled with nutrients, according to a botanist that brought it forward. They think it could actually be good for making salads and other dishes. There's also flame berries. They're small, round berries that grow in a lot of low bushes. They have tiny, fiery red hairs. But surprisingly, they're very sweet and tangy. They're very snacky friendly, it would seem. Aside from the hairs. You quickly discover removing the hairs first before snacking is really the best way. There's also the sunstone citrus. They are fruits that grow off of some of the taller bushes. They have a radiant golden yellow color and a faint iridescent sheen. They've got a very like mango and like pineapple fusion type flavor.
Mm-hmm.
There's blaze fruit. They're large and spiky. They have a tough orange reddish rind that resembles fire. Inside, the flesh is juicy and succulent with a sweet and tangy flavor reminiscent of a mix between a peach and a pineapple. One of the botanists thinks you could potentially make a jam out of it.
I guess that'd be our chicken man.
There's another type of pepper that's found that they've started calling a hill spice pepper. They're small and round. They come in a bunch of different colors, such as red, yellow, and orange, and they grow in abundance on the sprawling bushes across the landscape. They have a spicy, aromatic flavor with earthy undertones, making them versatile for cooking. fairly mild heat compared to the previous sunburst pepper. And then the last one is the sunspear cactus fruit. They grow on some of the cacti that you can find around. They have a tough, prickly exterior, and the insides are soft and juicy, filled with also small, sweet seeds. Can be eaten raw. The seeds also could be a decent enough snack, but the juices are also quite refreshing. Those are the plants. You also get additional reports on the wildlife. There are more confirmations of dire lions. Garrick reports he thinks they're quite territorial, as there is a group he tagged that seems to patrol a nearby area, and that group has tussled with other groups previously, from what he can tell.
Okay.
There's also been sightings of some kind of large bats at night, but they've not come close. There have been several sightings of what some of the people have started calling the tiger dogs, aka thylacines. There's been a few of them that have been curious and have come kind of close, but anytime anybody tries to approach them, they kind of jog away.
Huh.
There have also been some boar spotted, as well as hawks, more grasshopper mice. A group did attempt to approach the aurochs, but the aurochs were aggressive. There's been a couple more attempts. Each time, they seem to be a bit more chill. There are some farmers who think there's a chance they might be able to domesticate some, but it's going to take time to build trust with the animals. There's also been a herd of goats spotted, but when they attempted to approach them, they fucked right off and were very adept at jumping up a rocky hillside.
Mm.
There was also a report of giant bees. But nobody wanted to get close.
I don't blame them.
Yep. So those are some kind of your reports that happen over the next several days. This is not all at once. This happens over like the next couple days / weeks as people kind of explore the surroundings a bit more.
Giant bees could mean large deposits of honey, and that is a great source of a lot of things.
Well, they could be a meat hive kind of bee.
Also true.
They're vulture bees.
Yeah, that'd be upsetting.
You don't want meat honey?
No, I don't. Funny enough, I don't. But, like, if we could figure out how to get that shit safely without dying, holy fuck, what we could do with some honey.
They're giant bee apiaries.
Yeah. Especially if they produce relative to size.
So you did. Let me take notes. The holiday is also named Queen's Day. I will more properly update the calendar at a. Oh wait, that's the wrong.
On the 28th, correct? Or is it the 29th?
It's on the 29th of Hirdo. I'm adding temporary notes to the calendar, and I'll make them proper recurring holidays on the calendar at a later point. Something to consider as the month progresses. Your month is going to, like, your Kingmaker month is going to end on Hearthfest. Do you want to make plans? And we don't need to like heavy RP it or anything, but do you want to make plans to celebrate Hearthfest on the 27th of the next month, which is Beer?
I mean, hopefully we have farms up and going by then. I mean, it'd be a great way to christen the farms, and have some normalcy going.
Yeah, a farm of, like, the farms will finish construction. They won't necessarily be bearing a harvest like you normally would celebrate for Hearthfest, but the farms would be finished. All of your construction plans for the month will be finished. So like if you want to actually have a focused celebration and everything, you pretty much need to say like that's the plan, and I will assume you have people assigned to making that happen.
Yeah, I think I it may not be its original purpose, but I think that'd be good. What do you all think?
Fisk?
Don't have anything really good to add right
now. All right. Okay. So we'll go on the assumption that you're doing preparations for Hearthfest. Probably be safe to say you're taking a mixture of some of the fish you found. And I'll have more details on the fish soon.
Oh yeah. Speaking of the festival and whatnot, that is probably just going to be a. If it's pointed out that, oh yeah, shit, it's that festival, Rio will be keen to experience it, but also like, oh, this is gonna feel so weird.
Yeah. Throughout the next couple weeks, it rains off and on. The construction is underway. It's actually curious seeing the alchemicrete getting laid. They kind of partially create a mold with like wooden slats. But then once the like initial foundation is put, they don't use the frame all the way up what would be the entire wall. Instead, they're like able to actually take an implement and slather the alchemicrete down in like chunks and stuff and kind of like shape it with the implement into place. And you can literally watch it dry over the course of like a minute as it's put into place. And it has, you recall from ADAX, it has this like off-white kind of color to it. Some of the more complex structures, such as the buildings, they do use larger, more proper frames and such, where they can just dump entire barrels of alchemicrete down into it. And once it's dried, they they take it slat by slat apart from top to bottom so that it gets exposed to the sunlight and dries. But it's slow going. You have people who go out there and they're gathering rocks and stuff, and there are some people who help fashion like wheelbarrows and such to help with that and all that. And it's a process.
Yeah.
Let's see. Going into Beer, the 18th. So this is several weeks later. For the listener's sake, each month is 36 days, and a week is 6 days. So we're jumping from the 29th. So that's 1, 2, 3. That's just over 4 weeks that we're jumping. The night of, it's about 1900 of Leaguer. I need, as you all kind of like turn in for the night.
Oh no.
Both Tilk and Rhea, you're going to bed, and you've had long days. You've been busy regularly. You have a day off here and there where you take some time to relax, but you're generally busy just helping manage things and running around talking to people. And despite it not being physically intensive, it's mentally intensive. So you're fucking exhausted.
Yep.
So you lay down for the evening expecting to get some sleep. But as you do, despite how tired you feel, your bodies feel on edge. It's almost similar to like adrenaline spiking, but it's a passive, just like almost like an anxiety in a sense that has set in.
Oh. Well,
great.
Rhea will be trying to, just get sleep, but since that doesn't work, since anxiety almost, she'll just get up and try to take a walk or something. Yes.
Sure. So you get up and you're just immediately struck by this boom, boom. Just this pounding, pulsing sensation that's kind of thrums in your chest, but it kind of pulses out through the rest of your body. And you just kind of feel yourself tensing against your own will. Kind of like you're getting a cramp almost, but it's not painful. And you can feel your body just kind of shaking in response to this tension. And this is happening to both of you.
I'd like to roll a
So
perception
this is
check.
where I'm going to give you a choice. Oh, okay.
Oh.
You can make a perception check real quick. And at this point in time, it's safe to say you all have your own tents because you're important people now.
Mm-hmm.
And you're probably kind of placed around the nobility throughout. Or actually, no, there's probably like a separate kind of like cul-de-sac of sorts of tents where y'all have kind of been like added on.
21.
Well, so like, what are you looking for here?
Well, if my body's on edge, it's like its instincts kick in, especially with being trained by Caius. I'm looking for dangers immediately. I am trying to just observe for, is there someone hiding in the corner that I didn't see?
No, it's just you in the tent. You don't see any hostiles. You don't see any sources of danger.
I will.
But you feel this in your body.
I'm going to use my feature that I haven't used yet. Pull it up. Is a ASMR specific feature.
Okay.
For being incorruptible. I'm going to cast corruption resistance.
What does this do?
So, corruption resistance. Grant the touch creature limited protection for magical effects that inflict damage based on target creature's alignment, such as Holy Smite, Order's Wrath, Paladin Smite, Evil Attack, or an unholy weapon. Choose one alignment type. I'm choosing Evil. The subject takes 5 less points of damage from effects that specifically harm the creatures of the alignment. The value of the protection increases to 10 points at 7th level, blah, 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 blah. Spell protect the recipient's equipment as well. Corruption resistance protects against spells, spell-like abilities, and special abilities, not physical attacks.
Cool. Okay. So, you do that. I'm going to give you both a choice. As mythic creatures, you can expend a point of mythic surge and resist what is happening, or you can let it happen. Ride the wave, so to speak.
It doesn't feel great, right?
At the moment, no, it's not feeling great.
It's only affecting those two.
Yeah, it's not actively painful at the moment, but like maintaining control of your body is in question at the moment.
Okay, so
it's only these two, yes, Ollie.
It's like kind of feeling like you're sick and like.
You don't feel sick. It like I described, it feels like a cramp without pain at the moment, and your body is shaking somewhat, and there is this sort of anxiety / adrenaline about you. You're not sure what's causing it, but you're like fucking wired.
Okay. Rhea will probably, to start with, just try to basically control her breathing and see if it actually passes.
Okay. Tell you what. You specifically, you may fortitude check.
Me?
Yes.
Okay. I'm just gonna roll in the right channel. $21.
Okay. So you're trying to, support yourself, keep it together. You feel a sort of heat building in you, like throughout your body, but it seems to also like centering in your core. Like there's a burning sensation in your chest and in your gut. And you kind of reflexively like push down this urge to puke, and you kind of hold it in. But as you're supporting yourself there, you can see on your like hands and arms, red scales are starting to form. Like your skin is like cracking into red scales. And you feel like you want to puke at the moment.
Seeing that, she might actually go, "Oh shit!" and probably lose concentration on what the fuck she was doing.
So you're gonna stop resisting it?
Probably by accident, yes.
Yes. So you, losing focus, you're gonna double over, and there is going to be a wave of heat as like this thick, bright yellow orange magma like substance just kind of sloughs out of your mouth onto the floor with a retch. And we'll come back to you in a moment.
Does it feel like the battle high? Like
no,
the Crimson?
something else.
Does it feel
something else?
Does it feel worse?
there's not a focus to this. As it's progressing, it is becoming a little bit disorienting. Because your body is tensing, and you can kind of feel yourself kind of stretching in a sense. It's a very strange sensation. It's not immediately painful, but you can see that the hair on your arms is thickening.
Yep.
And turning black.
That's what I assumed this was.
As you watch, you can see the nails in your fingers start getting pushed out as thick black claws start emerging. At this point, I'm going to say you all are beyond the point of being able to spend a surge point.
Yeah.
Earth style, you are laying down, drifting off.
Mm-hmm.
Just kind of enjoying the evening. Finally getting to get some much needed sleep. And then you hear a distant scream.
I hear a distant
And then another scream.
and I hear another scream.
And then there are shouts.
Oh my god.
What do you do?
What is happening?
God fucking damn it.
Well, I go over and I investigate.
So you come out of your tent. You can more clearly hear there's more shouts, there are more screams, and then there is like an ear-splitting screech, and then another screech. And it's just becoming a cacophony of noise across the encampment.
That is certainly not good.
You see coming out of Tilk's tent, there is a big fucking bat person wearing shredded Tilk clothes.
God fucking damn it. Yeah, I assume that's what happened to me when I got bit.
Yeah. Alternatively, across from Tilk's tent, you see Rhea's tent go up in fire.
Oh my god, what is going on?
It's all coming up Millhouse, baby.
Yeah, I knew the moment I got bit, I was just like, I'm fucked. This character is fucked.
We'll
God
see.
damn it.
You get a weird curse with your berserking? Oh no, this is gonna be bad.
I just rolled the dice.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no.
Yeah, I used to work here.
If the dice fuck me is what they do.
Sounds like what they're doing.
Well, you know. So, Earth style, they're screaming. You see this going on. What are you doing?
So Tilk is coming out of Tilk's tent is some weird ass bat looking creature. Does it look reminiscent of the dead bodies?
Yeah, no. This is like pretty much the exact same thing. It like obviously the facial features are a little different. The eyes you can recognize as kind of like enlarged versions of Tilk's eyes. But like most of the face is unrecognizable beyond that. And of course you would recognize Tilk's night clothes, which are now like mostly shredded and big hairy bat monster thing.
Big hairy bat monster thing. There's fire coming over from
Rhea's entire tent is literally on fire.
That's a conundrum. Do I go and investigate Rhea's tent to see if I can save her? Or do I
in case it's not clear, that whole ass tent is engulfed in flames. Just so you understand.
I understand that. I already knew
I just
that.
want to make it clear. It's not like a flap
No.
or like only part of it. The whole thing.
Oh no, I know. I got that. I got that entire thing when you were explaining, and I'm just like, okay. I just want to go over. Oh God. You know what? Hi, Tilk. You are the big bad, as far as I can tell.
I assume I don't have control.
No, you have no control over yourself right now.
Oh my God.
Boy.
Hi, Tilk. I'm gonna roughly how far away am I from when I start noticing Tilk emerging from his tent?
I'm gonna say about 30 feet.
Cool. I'm. All right. Let's see what happens here. Hey, Tilk. We're gonna have a little fun here.
Are we?
I say that mostly as a.
So I want you to know that I have passed every save that you have thrown at my character.
That's perfectly fine. Like I said, we're gonna have a little fun here.
Yeah. What are you doing?
What am I doing? I'm actually trying to pull up a spell real quick. I don't remember fully what that does.
Floor?
Not yet. Not yet. Not yet. Okay. Roughly 30 feet? Okay. I'm gonna walk about. Well, I'm gonna kind of jog 15 feet. I'm gonna toss something over at Pilk. I need Pilk to make a reflex save, please.
Any changes to my stats?
Yeah, I believe you have a +2 to your dexterity. I am double checking this for a moment. Oh, I see. It's like it kept suggesting were rat to me. I was like, what the fuck? Where? No bonus to dex actually.
Do I get my features from being a paladin?
Yes, you're effectively still Tilk, but you have this werebat hybrid form now.
With angel blood, it's great. Totally not fucking wild. It feels like a high school kid's fever dream.
Asimar and Tieflings are not outsiders in this setting, so they can contract at least this version of lycanthropy.
9. I imagine I fail.
Yes, you do. Wonderful. You are stuck to that specific square.
Neat.
For the next 3 turns.
Neat.
Okay, cool. So you do that. There is a lot of like screeching, terrified screams, shouts. You see a guard comes into like your little cul-de-sac of tents, sees you, sees the tent on fire, sees a big bat person, and he comes to you and he grabs you and he says, "We need to get you out of here. Just stick close to me." And then I'm going to leave it up to you. Do you want to follow him? Do you want to do something else? What do you want to do?
Quite frankly, we need guards to effectively deal with this. There is nothing I could do by myself. Although Tilk is stuck to that floor for 4 turns, unless he breaks free.
Okay, so what are you doing? Are you following him, or what's the plan?
No. This is conundrum. I'm going to resist. I'm going to directly order this guard, Highest. Now.
I don't know where he is. He's out there somewhere, and it's a fucking mess. He might be one of them.
Are you saying there's other... Son of a bitch.
They're all over the place. We have to leave. He's going to grab you by the arm, and he is going to try to bodily drag you along. If you want to resist, you need to make a strength check.
No. With that information, Erstyle is not going to resist.
Okay. So yeah, he drags you along probably about like 15, 20 feet. When it's clear like you intend to follow him, he does let you go. And he starts leading you to, because you're already kind of on the outer edge, at least where the nobles are. But he's gonna like lead you straight out, kind of like cutting north, cutting between Queen's Rest and another hill, and then wrapping back around towards the coastline, where you can make out in the dark of the night other shapes of people kind of like breaking away from the camp. You do see some people seem to have spotted at least you and the other guy going to the coast. So it seems like they're starting to like follow you to the water. And it's just pandemonium from what you can tell in the tent city. With the like 3/4-ish / half-ish finished walls. It's just, it sounds like insanity. But there's groups of y'all kind of gather there on the beach a ways away and just kind of hunker down and try to just stay quiet. Because there's no way to communicate with anybody else. There's no way of knowing what's going on. And it's just kind of run out into the wilds unprepared, or just wait and see what happens. And you sit tight under a almost entirely full moon, save for a tiny sliver. And as you are sitting by and watching, you see there are more fires erupt as you can make out a large-sized thing kind of coasting above the tent city here and there, and then landing, and then another gout of flame appears. From the distance, it just looks like chaos.
Are we passengers in our bodies, or like is it blackout?
It is effectively blackout.
Okay.
Eventually, the night will pass where you will have spent pretty much your entire time on the beach, Ollie, or so. And things, as dawn rises, will have calmed down. Tilk and Rhea, you come to in, you're not sure what part of the tent city. You're separate of each other. And it is a mess all around. There is blood everywhere. There are bodies all over the place. Some of them giant bat creatures, some of them people. It is, and like all the tents and stuff, tons of them are fucked up. Some of them are torn to shreds. Some of them are smoldering ashes. Some of them are still burning. It is a mess.
Do I recall anything? And what's the status of me and surroundings?
So your immediate surroundings are like fucking charred remains of, you look around, a noble's tent maybe, and you go to stand up and then immediately lose your footing as you slide and fall on your back, and something like just jabs into your fucking spine. It's like, oh fuck. And you roll over to see that you were apparently on top of a pile of gold. and a chest, and some gems, and a couple bodies.
Oh, that's one less
And
noble
oh
house.
god, you're covered in blood.
Oh fuck!
How's Soap doing?
You are similarly covered in blood. There are some bodies around. You're not sure if it's your blood. You think you have a couple scratches that weren't there before. You're not really sure. And there's people milling about.
I will start gathering people.
Yeah, most of these people are like, they look shell-shocked. Not that your character would know what that is, but like 1,000-yard stare, like not sure what's going on. Some of them equally covered in blood, confused, not sure what's going on. Some people are like cowering, hiding underneath remains of tents, and when they realize things have calmed down, they start crawling out from underneath. Yeah, it's a shit show.
By the time I'm done gathering people, how many?
In your immediate vicinity, or are you going like, you're going to be like, we're going to take a couple hours and we're going to get everybody together?
I'm trying to get everybody that was found in the city. I don't.
Okay, so inside the tent city,
yeah.
You're going to find, oh boy, this is challenging numbers. Obviously, you're not able to get an exact count.
Yeah.
You think you can account for about at least half of the population.
You're fucking with me.
Nope.
Yeah.
Half the pop has lycanthropy. Fuck us running.
Maybe. You're not sure, because not everybody is, like, you're not sure who changed. You're not sure how many changed. It could be everybody. It could only be a fraction of everybody.
Based on how well that the dice are fucking us today, I'm going to go with the safe estimate of 50%.
The low estimate of 50%.
Oh, god damn it.
Outside the city, Ollie, obviously you can't get an exact count, but you're guessing there's probably about 2,000 people on the beach. Just kind of spread out in the surroundings.
In the fucking air? What the fuck?
So for both of you, if you want, you can attempt a will save to recall what happened. I will say, I will say it counts as a mind affecting effect.
Oh, neat. I get to add more. I get to add more to it.
Because technically you are not natural born, so you don't have control over it. So it does kind of affect your mind in a sense.
Yeah, I am using a search on it.
Fuck, I'm using a surge on it. I haven't even fucking finished doing my calc. Oh, sweet fucking Jesus.
20.
You have hazy memories of kind of seeing everything from above.
Fucking in the wrong place.
Strange bat creatures, people fleeing, some of the bats turning on each other. It's just kind of like a slideshow of just violence, and then also this very overriding horde elect, and like glimpses of like killing people who are getting in the way of you collecting shiny shit.
23.
You have a kind of similar experience. However, instead, obviously, you have more of a ground eye view. There are people who, there's one person you saw, but they got away. And then there's kind of a little bit of a blackout. And then you do find people and you feast a bit. But then you remember just this fucking somebody was threatening your turf. Somebody was fucking with your stuff or your place, or you're not really sure. But you fucking ripped their fucking head off. And you remember seeing some of the other bats kind of turning on one another, fighting over food, aka people.
Yeah. Yeah. Great. And fantastic.
It's just glimpses of that and those lingering emotions and this hunger, this thirst that just needed to be slaked, and enough wasn't enough. It was just person after person. It's just you needed more and more. And it didn't matter where it came from, other bat people, other people. It just didn't matter. You just needed more.
So, noted. Every full moon, save a mythic surge. Gotcha.
Rhea kind of rubs her back after falling down on that pile and just looks around in shock and goes, "Oh no."
Rhea! Eventually, I imagine I find you.
She is probably in a pretty shocked and messy state.
Yeah, Tilk will not care. Rhea!
Yeah. She's like, yeah?
You here? Look at me.
Yeah, I think so.
All right. It's not just you. By my estimate, roughly half. All right? You remember some of last night. You're smart. You.
I remember some of what happened.
Okay. That happened to roughly half of everyone.
She does remember that hers was different, right?
Yes.
Tilk doesn't know that.
Rhea says, no, mine's different.
That doesn't matter.
But, what the fuck?
Well, whatever it is, it's in the fucking air. Although I thought I passed the fucking fortitude save for this at one point. But none of that matters right now. We need to get everyone together. We need to evaluate what happened. We need to work on a solution.
Yeah.
So, I need you to get out of here. And I point to your head. And
she nods and starts to get up and just bloody mess and everything. And they're like, okay.
All right.
Where is everyone?
Well, half of us are here. There aren't many places that they could go. They either went out into the wild. I haven't found Earthstyle. Hopefully Earthstyle was able to organize people to go somewhere safe that wasn't out in the wilderness. Check the beach line. Check the shoreline. I'm going to continue to gather people.
I have seen Liana and Talara or Sveta.
I haven't found them yet. They could be with Earthstyle.
Yeah.
But right now, I would consider this a crisis. So,
yes.
not a personal crisis. I know that we've had a lot of those.
No, this is a little bigger than that.
So just stay out of here for now, okay? We gotta worry about everyone else right now.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get everyone here who's in the city, get them together, because we're not gonna be to return to business as usual.
Yeah.
All right?
Yeah, I got it.
Okay. I will look to see what house was lost.
What house was lost?
Yeah, the noble house that got burnt down.
Well, there's a couple of those.
Oh, lordy.
yeah, it's gonna figuring out what houses are truly lost is gonna take some time because you need to actually like take attendance essentially of who's alive, who's dead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That one of the things that Tilk is going to do is start getting people to, like, we need to know who's here, like on his end. He's going to try to organize getting a list made of people's names.
Yeah. During this process, you will hear from somebody that a bunch of people have been spotted out on the beach. Kind of spread out. And as you go to the edge of the city, you do see there is roughly 2,000 people who are kind of a ways away, just kind of waiting for something, anything really.
I'm working inside the city is what I'm doing. I'm trying to organize those people. So that's all you, Rhea.
Yeah, Rhea will just, as she gets up, she will check herself for any injuries or anything like that, and then start preparing to go.
You're perfectly good health, Andrews.
Small relief. And then she will be beginning to go towards the beach and see if she can find any familiar faces, basically.
It won't take you terribly long to find Earthstyle. I think it's safe to say his little group is probably one of the closer ones.
If there's any guards around or anyone who has weapons, definitely Earthstyle would have fucking made a goddamn defensive line.
Oh yeah, there's essentially like 2 guards in your group and just like a mismatch of like a bunch of various commoners from what you can tell.
Okay. I don't think Earthstyle actually slept last night.
Rhea will be holding up her hands to not get shot by some very, very on-edge guards.
Yeah, one of them's got a crossbow ready, the other's got a sword ready.
Huh. Rhea, is that you? Earthstyle will shout as you start walking up.
Yeah, it's me.
Okay.
Yeah. Have you seen anyone else?
No. What the fuck? Your tent was on fire. Where are your burns?
The fire was probably me. She will say silently.
I get that. Where are your burns?
No clue. I met Silk.
So, sense motive. I'm going to roll a sense motive. Don't really have to, but I'm gonna roll a sense motive.
She does not actually have any clue where her burns are. She doesn't know that.
You're only looking at her from the front, because I'll be on the back side.
Pretty much, did you get higher than a 10? You can tell she's being honest, because she's making no attempt to deceive you whatsoever.
Oh, I know, but it's just kind of like her style's just looking. There's no burn marks. Claims to have met Hilk. No idea what the fuck happened. Am I being deceived? Is this someone who's doppelganging? Is this someone pretending to be Rhea by any means?
Yeah, this is it. Everything's gone to shit.
According to your sense motive, that is 1, Rhea.
1. This is the 1 Rhea. Hey. Urstyle just gives you a very, very hard stare. You could actually see him physically shaking. His fists are balled up. But he's also just staring you hard in the eyes. Because he's concerned and he's saddened. Okay.
Is this ever? We need to try and round up the survivors.
Well, being as it seems the coast is clear, did Urstyle happen to catch the names of the two guards he's with?
Yeah, I did.
That's perfectly
fucking yeah,
No,
yeah. You got their names.
Yeah, got their names. Cool. He's going to point. He's going to turn around and he's just going to instruct the guards. Find healers. Organize groups of people to start searching for anything salvageable or still usable.
Oh, fucking yeah, right. All right, fucking yeah. Don't give lip. Just do what he says. Move it. And they kind of jog off towards some of the other scattered groups.
Okay. You said you found Tilk.
Yes.
Where is he?
Shit, where did you go again? It was.
I went to round up everyone that was inside the city to get a rough count of how many shifters we now have.
He is rounding up people inside the city.
Okay. Take me to him last you remember seeing him.
Why is there a giant pile of gold?
She'll okay, yeah. And as they walk, she'll say, "How much do you? What did you see on your end of things?"
What did I see? I saw Tilk. I saw your tent on fire. There were screams, there was shouting, there was smoke already coming from other parts of the city. From what I can understand and what I can gather, this is drastically higher than anything we would have to probably encountered. Because whatever happened, I don't know. I don't even know. I don't really know what to quantify what fucking happened.
Well, from the memories that I managed to piece together of what the fuck happened is plenty of the townsfolk seems to have become those bad creatures.
What?
Yeah.
The bad creatures.
Mm-hmm.
Like Earth style, visibly and audibly takes a deep breath.
So we have a pretty big problem on our hands in that case, because this is a massacre. And
yes.
And she looks around. There are plenty of fires all around, right?
There's a few still burning in the tent city, but as people come to and such, they've been putting them out. So there's still smoke billowing up, but most of the fires have been put out.
And the fires might be me.
I don't know if they're a mite.
I don't think the fires were just you.
No.
I at least know that there were fires.
Because I remember lighting things on fire. I guess I lost consciousness and then probably slaughtered some bad creatures and whatnot. And we might have
we're gonna work on that part, Rayaf. Right now, I want to find Dilk.
Yes. And we need to finally figure out a way to handle this if so many are infected with whatever that is.
And I think that's a great point.
Really hard again.
I think that's a really good point to call a session.
Yep. Join us next time for one Zach finds another way to fuck us. Because Jesus fucking Christ, Zach. I was like, okay, it's just going to be me and Rhea. Nope.
The dice decided this weeks ago, okay?
I'd be interested to know how the dice decided it.
So remember the time where I rolled those dice to find out if they were gonna like try to kill the queen / princess?
Yeah.
So like it was not just about assassinating the queen or princess. It was about fucking you all as much as possible.
Jesus fucking Christ.
Well, mission accomplished there.
Yeah.
God fucking damn.
Because they, from your initial meeting, essentially it was like they did not have a good initial impression, and it was like, okay, well, how far are they willing to go, or are they gonna like ride this out and try to like long con something? And it was like, nah, they think this is unsalvageable.
Well, it is
just
now.
going to ruin you.
It wasn't unsalvageable before. It definitely is now.
Well, you know.
Here's my honest reaction.
For those who do not know, Fisk posted something. It's a GIF.
They played us like a damn fiddle.
Thank you everybody for listening.
You know.
We hope to have you on the next one. I'm gonna go scream.
Beautiful.